A couple of years ago, my husband and I realized we wanted a more independent lifestyle, less supporting large corporations and more rooted in self-reliance and our local community. At first, the change felt really overwhelming, so we decided to take one small step, gardening, and honestly, we have fallen in love with it. Starting was the hardest part. Social media made me feel like I'd already failed, but the truth is, if you have dirt, a seed, and water, you can grow something. I hope these casual little garden tours inspire someone out there to join in the backyard gardening fun, or as we like to call it, passive rebellion, and take one more step towards an independent, self-reliance, and healthier lifestyle. Good morning, friends, and welcome back to A Moment with Hales. Today's garden tour is going to be a little bit different than normal. So I recorded some of this yesterday. I was working out in the garden, and then this morning I woke up and saw that it was 59 degrees outside, and I actually became kind of angry that I was inside. I was like, why am I inside doing laundry when it is 59 degrees outside, peak gardening weather? I'm going out and working in the garden. So this is going to be a montage from yesterday and today, but today we're going to be doing in the garden tour some seed saving techniques, and we're also going to be talking about fall gardening for zone 7B. So if you're in that zone, you might be interested. So it's a little bit different than what I normally do. It's kind of a montage, but I hope you guys enjoy it. So let's get started. It has been raining here nonstop for a couple days, and my green beans have taken off, but I do have some green beans that are ready to be harvested to save the seeds. They're still a little wet because it hasn't been sunny here, but I do want to go through and show you guys the ones that I'm going to take off the plant to save the seeds for next year and how I'm going to preserve them. I've been working out here in the green beans. So I've had, I think, 6 different harvests from these green beans. They've done really well. They're jade green beans. You're gonna see here I have some that look really great. I have other ones here that are brown and speckled. This means these are ready to harvest the seeds out of. So I like to save the seeds for my green beans. It's super easy. It's one of the easiest ones to do that with. You just let this sit on the vine until it browns about like this. And then all you have to do, pop it open, and you're gonna see you have a nice little seed on the inside. Now it has been raining here nonstop, so these are a little wet, which I don't love. So what I will do is bring these inside and lay them on a paper towel and let them dry for a couple days, and then I'll go ahead and store them for next year. So next we have one of our tomato plants. You see there's a few, this is my purple tomato plant. A few more tomatoes going. If you're looking here, you're gonna see some of this plant looks rather sad. Like I said, it's been raining here. So my advice to people who are growing tomatoes is prune away. So I'm gonna go through here, I'm gonna be working for a little bit and taking off any of the dead stuff that's on here, so the plant itself can give energy to making beautiful tomatoes instead of what is on the actual vine. So I'm gonna prune away for a little bit here. If you're watching my garden tour, you might be wondering, what is that light blue thing in her garden? Well, that is a smart bird bath sent to me by my partner, Bird Feed. This smart bird bath has the capability to record cute little moments of birds hanging out in your bird bath or on your bird feeder and send them directly to your phone. It also has AI technology, which can tell you what bird species are in your area. The link to purchase is in my bio, promo code Haley Barker. There's also 4 different fountain attachments, so the birds can have a different experience every time they stop by. If you would like to pick one up today for yourself or for a gardener in your life, make sure you use the link in the bio and promo code Haley Barker. Here we are at the infamous trellis. It has grown, just kept going completely out of control. This used to be tall enough where I could actually walk underneath it. So it has just taken over. It's actually climbing into the tomatoes. It's climbing over to the sunflowers, which I'm going to take out in a minute. But they have just grown and they're producing. So despite the fact that it has fallen, it's still producing cucumbers. And I do want to save some cucumber seeds, but cucumbers you don't consume fully ripe. So when the cucumber is on its way to being ripe, when it's green, that's when you actually consume it. You don't want it to grow super big. The thing about cucumber plants is when the cucumber actually ripens, it will become yellow, kind of orange. I have a couple that I'll show you guys, and it will fall to the ground. That signals to the vine that it is done producing, that it did its job. The cucumber fell, the seeds will be spread for next year, and more cucumbers will grow. So when you want to save cucumber seeds, you want to usually wait until the end of the season, because once you let that cucumber fully ripen, it will stop producing for the year. I have a couple cucumber vines that I've just been letting go and leaving the cucumbers on, and then eventually this one I will just leave the cucumbers, but let me show that one to you guys. I have been leaving this cucumber on this vine because it was really small and it wasn't going to produce anyways. So I'm waiting for this one to become orange because it still has some green coloring on it. But I do have it here. I'm just letting it go, and I will be scooping the seeds out of this. So I'm just letting it do its thing here. And once it turns orange or kind of yellow, I will take it and save the seeds, because you want to save seeds from a fully matured plant, or vegetable. So we'll go ahead and be waiting for that. Maybe not too much longer, but a little bit, and then I'll show you guys how I save the seed. This is the back view of the trellis that has fallen, which you can see. We have gotten 3 melons off this trellis so far. These little melons here, these cantaloupes, this one is not ready yet. We've discovered that when they turn a yellow kind of color, they're ready. So we check that, and then we also check the tendril as well. Now we do have 2 different types that I planted. So this is the other one, which they say when you can smell it and it smells like a cantaloupe, it's ready. So we have this one here, which I don't think is ready yet. There's a little one right here, which I don't think is ready either, but there's one more that I can't seem to get on camera. But the melons have been doing well, even though it's fallen. We've been able to enjoy them. You can see a lot of them are still hanging down underneath too, which is fun. It's just not what I was imagining. Okay, I think you can see it here. Do you guys see that one? I feel like that one is ready. So I'm gonna try to figure out how I'm gonna get it. And then I'm also gonna go through here and try to prune as much as I can, since it's been raining like crazy. So I have very much enjoyed my sunflowers. They are done producing, and they're taking up a ton of room in the bed and also blocking a lot of sunlight. So I'm gonna go through and pull all my sunflowers out. I'm gonna give the tops to my chickens and let them enjoy. I do usually try to save my sunflower seeds, but it's just wet and gross and I wanna get them out. So I'm not worried about that this year, as the chickies will have a nice treat. Okay, the sunflowers are gone, but I did knock over some of my pepper plants. So I'm hoping we can stake those, and then I have the rest of these to bring to the chickies for them to enjoy. Let's see. What do you guys think? Nobody wants it? Okay. There they go. It usually just takes one, and then we'll all be flocking over here. Here is the aftermath without the sunflowers. So we'll see how long this trellis goes. I feel like it's looking a little sad, but I hope the rest of the melons on there ripen up, and then we'll be able to probably tear a lot of this out as we're preparing for the fall season. We have the peppers are going, and I'm hoping these will go a little bit longer. I didn't get a ton of peppers this year. Like I said before, I don't love peppers. I feel like they are slow movers, but I'm wondering if they're going to be an end of summer kind of pop here, which would be great. So here is the aftermath from the pepper plants yesterday. They obviously need a support, so we are gonna scrounge up what we have, and I think I have 2 zip ties left, so we're gonna have to get a little bit creative to support these pepper plants. It's not perfect, but it will work for now. So I just took a string and kind of wove it through all the pepper plants here to try to give them a little more support, along with the stakes that are in there. So I don't want to give up on them yet, because they haven't really been producing, and I'm wondering if they produce more at the end of the season. So this tomato plant is looking really beautiful. There's a ton of tomatoes on here, so I'm anxiously awaiting them to start getting ripe. But this one is my one that I did in a container. Well, both of my large tomatoes I did in a container, and they did really well so far this year. So I'm just waiting for them to ripen up. Okay, I wanted to show you guys, I think this is insane. The cucamelons. These things are small but mighty. And oh my gosh, look at all these ants though. Do you see the ants on those leaves? Gross. Okay, we'll come back to that. But these cucamelons are doing amazing, but look at what they did to the sunflowers here. So I have these sunflowers that I was really excited about, and they totally took over the sunflowers. So the sunflowers are now embedded into this cucamelon trellis that you can't even walk through because it just took over. I just can't. These small, tiny plants are incredible. I think I'm just gonna let it continue to do its thing to see how far it goes, just because I think, honestly, it's amazing. And it just wrapped the sunflowers right on into its trellis, which I just think is incredible. And I did try to save a few more flowers from the cucamelons. My last few onions have fallen, so I'm gonna go ahead and take these out of here and throw them in my fridge. I actually will keep them and use them. I'm gonna make some salsa, I think, tonight. So I'm just gonna go ahead and pull these out and get this ready for the fall. You'll see on the other side, the squash is doing well. So we have the squash going already, and I don't know what I'm gonna plant on this side. Maybe beets, we'll see. The next thing I want to get in the ground are carrots. So I have a second round of carrots going, and this is going to be my third round of carrots for this season. I feel like in the fall they do better than they did in the summer. So let's get some rows of carrots going in the ground. So while I would never call myself a carrot expert, I will say the few successes that I've had, I've always made sure the ground is super saturated when I put in my seeds. I'm also adding in some fertilizer as well, since I had onions going in this bed, so the carrots have some nutrients to hang on to. When I put the carrot seeds in the bed, you'll see I just spread them in a thin line, and I am pretty generous when it comes to putting the seeds in the ground. Okay, so I have my dirt saturated, refreshed. I have some of my seeds here. You can see carrot seeds are really, really small. And what I do is I am going to try to do 4 rows of carrots here. So I'm just going to do a line right across the bed, a little trench, if you will. And then I'm going to take the seedlings and just sprinkle them through. Now, I have done this before, and I've done too many seeds. So when it comes to them popping up, you have to do a process called thinning, which means you take out the seedlings in between other seedlings so the carrots can get big. I hate doing that. So I'm gonna try to plant a little less seeds. So hopefully I don't have to thin quite as much, but we'll see what happens. And as I've spoken about before, I did add in a King's Yard squirrel-proof bird feeder. So if anyone else would also like to add one of these to their garden or their backyard, it's a great little addition. They also have a lot of different products on their website. You can use the code MOMENT20 to receive 20% off. Again, that is King's Yard. I'll link it below. And this is my little squirrel-proof bird feeder. We've seen several birds loving it lately and coming out, at least when the sun has been shining. Here is my little cherry tomato harvest. You will see some of them are split, and that happens when it rains. It means they got too much water too quickly, so it causes them to split. So when it does rain, I like to come out here and get them as quickly as I can so I can bring them inside, and I usually will make salsa with these because I'm gonna put them in the food processor anyways. This is my tiny little tomato harvest for today. Our sugar baby watermelons, I think, are almost ready because they have that white or yellow spot on the bottom. So I'm feeling like this one might be ready soon. And then we also have another one hanging up back there. You guys can see that back there. And then I think we have another one on the other side as well. Yes, right here too. So they are going still, so we just need to figure out. We picked one last week and it was too early, so I think we're gonna wait a little bit longer and see what happens. So this was my lettuce bed this year. It was my dedicated lettuce bed, and I do still have some lettuce that I'm hoping will continue to produce throughout the fall season. I'm going to be starting my winter lettuce mix, my kale, really soon, but right now I have my little baby broccolis here. And I do want to get those out. So what I'm going to do in this bed, I'm going to clean it out, rip a lot of this stuff out, and then refresh it and replenish it to put some of the broccolis in. And these are marigolds, which have done well for the season. They're good for companion planting. They help keep away certain pests and different things. And so let me work on clearing out this bed so we can go ahead and get some broccoli going for the fall. I did add some black cow to my soil here. This is a cow manure. It is a little bit of a fertilizer. Well, it is a fertilizer, natural, and it's gonna help bring a little bit of life back to this soil because I already grew stuff in here this season, I want to just add a small layer right on the top of the soil, just so the broccoli will have some nutrients, some refreshed nutrients to hang on to. You don't have to add a big layer, just a small layer is fine. I did repurpose an old ice cream thing for my broccoli seedlings. I like to repurpose things because you don't have to buy a bunch of stuff to garden. It can be you can do it in a cheap way. Just recycle a bunch of stuff that you have to put little seedlings in. And my husband put holes in the bottom, which was really nice. I'm just gonna use this stick to get out my seedlings. Here I have 2. I'm just gonna split them in half. I have my 2 little broccoli seedlings. I'm just gonna put them in probably right up to about the first. I'll probably do it right up to the first little split here. These are like the true leaves or whatever, I think, but I'll probably put it in the ground about right here, just so the stalk can be nice and strong. Broccoli can be planted in the spring or fall. I've just had more success with the cooler seasons, so that's why I decided to add it in to my garden this fall in zone 7B. When I plant my broccoli, I do tend to put it a little bit deeper, like the true leaves in the ground. I do that so it has a really strong stem or stalk, because it does have the crown that it needs to hold. I ended up planting, I think, 3, 6, 9 in this bed, and I'm hoping they should produce really well. I still have 2 more broccolis left, so let's figure out where we can put them in the garden. This bed is probably my most underutilized bed in the garden, and it does not get a ton of sunshine here, so because of all the trellises. But I think I did plant 2 tomato plants here that I had transplanted. They're not doing the best, and honestly, I don't think they're gonna do much more as the season is coming to a close. And I do have tomato plants already going, and I should have hopefully tomatoes until September at least. So I'm gonna rip those out and put the broccoli right in the middle here. When choosing where to plant your broccoli, usually you want something not in full sun. They also recommend planting them 12 to 18 inches apart, which I didn't do here, but they do grow rather tall and rather large. So if you are planting them, make sure you space them well. And for those that are feeling those fall vibes, here is an update on my pumpkins in little gourds. So this pumpkin was looking good, but something has been snacking on it. So I'm not sure if it's gonna make it or what's gonna happen with that. We also have a crazy infestation of squash bugs. So I'm feeling a little nervous. You can see there's a ton of eggs here. So it's been raining like crazy. I'm not able to get out here and clean up like I should. Just see a little flower there. So I'm not sure what's gonna end up happening with the pumpkins this year, which is sad. But I did wanna show you guys we do have a tiny little gourd starting as well. And then the pumpkins, just like the cucamelons, took over the sunflowers. Do you guys see that? That is a pumpkin flower up there. So the pumpkin is now crawling into the cucamelon, which again, it is what it is. But I do see we have one little pumpkin starting here, climbing up the cucamelon trellis. So that is what I have for the fall update on the pumpkins. We'll see what ends up happening with the squash bugs. And now for my last garden chore, which is really not that much of a chore, but going ahead and pruning my zinnias so I can enjoy some beautiful flowers inside this week. This was the first year that I added zinnias to the garden, and I highly recommend them. They're easy to grow, although I'd start them indoors in seed trays. They're pollinator friendly, so they will invite pollinators into your garden, and they're cut and come again. So the more that you cut them to enjoy, the more that they produce. A great addition to the garden. Well, thanks for watching, friends. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. I know it was a little bit different of a garden tour than usual, but I hope some of this seed saving information and getting my fall stuff planted gave you some inspiration and ideas for your garden. I also wanted to let you know I posted another podcast on Friday for Your Morning Start. It's a very casual podcast to get our day started with a biblical perspective. So if you want to take a listen for that, you definitely can check it out on my playlist. Thanks for watching, friends. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Happy almost fall, and I'll be talking to you soon.